Charlie. We got Alabama hospital puts pause on IVF in wake of ruling of frozen embryos or children. Can you take me through a little bit of this news story?
So Alabama, our favorite breeding ground for human rights abuses in the United States, they're now saying that in vitro fertilization, which is when you go in and take an egg out of a female, it's mainly used for people who can't get pregnant naturally. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Most of them being out of people's ability to control. So now they're saying that those eggs are living beings. And Alabama hospitals are scared that if maybe one of these in vitro fertilizations gets ruined or something, that they can be prosecuted for murder now. Mm-hmm. Which is basically the simple way to say it.
Well, that sounds pretty problematic. What are the implications here? I mean...
Well, because apparently it all started from a patient in one of these clinics went in and knocked over a couple of these trays, making them useless. They can't use them anymore. And that has then now led to this thing saying that, oh, well, it's actually, those are all living embryos. It can be, we'll just, throw it in there with abortion. That, you get rid of these things now. They're living beings. You're committing murder. Now we'll execute you with nitrogen gas or whatever they feel like doing.
Right. Yeah, and in Alabama, I mean, there's no holds bar on anything. Like life is shit cheap there, and they'll just kill anybody and sue anybody. And so don't you think that this will have wider implications, like doctors not wanting to exist in Alabama whatsoever?
Yeah, which doctor is going to, I'm going to set up a medical practice in Alabama so that they can just prosecute me if I, stop someone's leg from bleeding. Because I've, what slippery slope can you bring it down? Like, the embryos in your now.
If a doctor tries to stop somebody, like cauterize the wound of somebody who's bleeding to death because they got their lawnmower caught on their foot or something, and if you interfere with that in the state of Alabama, you are circumventing God's will, and you will be put to death by lethal injection.
They're about to execute another guy with nitrogen gas, I think, this week.
Oh, so another guy fishing around for about 15 minutes while he screams in agony.
And this guy was also, they tried to execute him with lethal injection, couldn't get a vein. So he was like strapped upside down for like an hour waiting to die. And then, whoops, guess the death warrant ran out. We're just going to have to put it off.
The dude is literally better off just setting him on fire. Like, it's just as painful and just as cost efficient.
Just throw him in a pit of spikes, why don't you? Just get it over with.
Feed some local wildlife or something with this guy's carcass.
Sure, just feed me to the animals in the zoo. Let a fox chew on my face off or something.
I mean, yeah, if you had the choice, would it be... firing squad or death by the gas?
I guess firing squad. I don't want the gas.
It's a little more old school. You go retro with the firing squad.
Put on like a pork pie hat while I'm at it.
I mean,
they're all executions. We've talked about this before. It's just torture all the way through. From the ruling of death till death,
Yeah. Let's watch the video here. Let's see what they say about the embryos. How a ruling of embryos could affect... The Alabama Supreme Court recently ruled that frozen embryos can be considered children under state law. Oh, wonderful.
Brainless children.
This is one step closer to making masturbation like a punishable offense. Like if you
IVF is a fertility treatment in which a female patient undergoes ovarian stimulation to generate mature eggs in the ovary. Those eggs are removed during a short outpatient procedure. And then the mature eggs are fertilized using sperm of the patient's choice to generate embryos. Once we have an embryo, we actually tend to let embryos grow for about 5 days. On average, it takes about 6 to 8 eggs to yield about 1 embryo. The duration that an embryo is stored varies significantly from one couple to another. There are some patients that are purposely freezing embryos for the future use. Equating an embryo to a child is scientifically unfounded, and the clinical ramifications of such a legal decision are tremendous and will undoubtedly have unintended consequences, including limiting the capacity of physicians to care for patients with infertility, many of whom are reliant on IVF to be able to build their families.
So the other thing is the insurance that is used to insure doctors against malpractice or illegal stuff. It will be astronomical. Nobody will insure.
Yeah, no one's going to take these patients on.
That either. Nobody wants to be in that position of liability. So why, if you can practice medicine anywhere in the world, why would you want to do it in a state where you could potentially be executed?
Yeah, it's not even a, it's not making a giant leap. It's like they're already trying to prosecute people for murder for having miscarriages in these southern states.
Well, they're doing this avoiding all scientific literature. This isn't about what the hard science or the hard data says, right? Or what the medical community says, or the actual classification. I mean, they're passing laws based on religious ideology.
Mm-hmm. They're literally quoting the Bible in some of these court cases.
That's a theocracy. And, there's a huge rise in Christofascism or Christian nationalism. Coming back. Oh, it's the hottest new thing in the world. We're going to bring back, I don't know what we're going to bring back. Jesus Christ, everything in the Bible.
Bring back the Crusades,
The fucked up part is they're not even really reading the Bible. They're interpreting the Bible in a way.
Selective sentences, not even full, complete sentences even.
Yeah. The Bible.
They really read the Bible, yeah.
The Bible said, you can always, have a slave, and if he runs away, then you can surely get him back, and he is your property, and all this kind of bullshit. And then the Bible,
at the same time, it says, be sure to care. Isn't there the one? It's like, bring in your immigrants, cuddle them like sheep, make sure to care for them more than yourself. That one's obviously ignored.
Right. The fact that Jesus was basically a vegetarian socialist slips people's minds. No. Jesus wanted me to kill all these people and animals. But yeah, and that's the other thing is life is all of a sudden so important. There's nothing more anthropocentric than saying that embryos don't matter, but I'll take a fully formed 1,000-pound ruminant animal and I'll fucking kill him and eat him with no remorse.
They care so much about these unborn babies being aborted and embryos being, mistreated. As soon as they're born, well, just go off and fuck yourself.
Yeah. What does he say? He says, if you're pre-born, you're important. But if you're after birth, fuck you, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to collect the food stamps and...
Yeah. This is a bizarre attempt to try to get us to continue to keep procreating no matter if we like it or not. Because the white race must continue or something. I don't get it.
Empowerment over women's bodies. It's a very important factor of it too.
You're not pro-life, you're anti-woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then it's a bunch of old white guys that can decide what a woman should do with her body. So...
And religion is really good at saying, you know what, women have their place. You're going to make babies. You're going to shut the fuck up. You're going to make a sandwich, and the dad's going to go out and work a job, and then you're all going to have
going to work at the coal factory or the steel,
or some jerk
something macho though.
Sure. So in some cases, it's like even my uncle is like this guy. He's this holy rolling Mormon guy. He was a librarian for a federal federal building downtown. It's like button down, whatever, white collar kind of boring bureaucratic jobs. But just to have the cutesy wootsy picketed fence, 5.8 children or whatever. And the religious people, they got to have lots and lots of children now.
Oh yeah, spread God's word.
Yeah. Isn't there anything more arrogant than missionary work, going to some other far off destination and telling them to conform to your belief system?
Because you are just heathens who don't know what's going on, and none of your beliefs actually matter to me.
Yeah, hey guys, I just got here on a plane yesterday, but you guys are doing it all wrong. I know you've been doing it for thousands and millions of years. Yeah, you're doing it wrong. People in Tonga, they should be ashamed of their bodies, and you should definitely change.
And then you throw into that the fact that churches are all tax-free. They're basically just gigantic money laundering organizations.
Yeah.
And you've got these mega churches like Joel Osteen who are billionaires.
I drove through Houston one time and I went right past his church. And what it is, it's a fucking amphitheater. It's like Madison Square Garden, but it's a giant church. It looks like where they build airplanes in, And on the outside of the church, you can tell a lot about the prosperity gospel by how arrogant and blasphemous that they really are. Because on the outside of the church, in big letters, it says, Joel Osteen, and then in the bottom it says, in little tiny letters, Church of Jesus Christ. So his name is like 6 or 7 times bigger than Jesus.
Yeah, which I think there's multiple instances in the Bible that say that is like one of the biggest sins.
Right. They go on and on about how that's the thing that you're not supposed to do, right? Put yourself above God or worship false idols or, stuff like that. But
it's not questioned.
It slips the minds of people who believe in religion today. Well, that's the thing, is faith is based in a belief system that's not based in any kind of evidence. So, of course, these people are wildly confused and ready to believe any bullshit that sounds good. Same with the non-vegans. It's like carnivore diets, keto diets. People love to hear good news about their fucking bad habits. Tell me good news about my shitty life. What's that?
About anything. About, tell me something good about your government when they, it can be used in so many different ways. And it just becomes power vacuums.
Yeah. A little frightening. But this whole thing about the, religious zealots and the possibility of turning into a theocracy, this story is also sort of disturbing because why are they outlawing abortion? Why are they all ranting and raving about we need more children, we need more kids? It's because we are sort of in a pickle as far as the domestic supply of children is running low, and it has implications. But I'm saying you could easily get some immigrants in there, tame them, as it were, integrate them. They'll be fine. They'll work out great. Give them a few years. They'll give them
the chair and the whip.
Put them in line, sticks and carrots. No, I mean, I'm being funny, but at the same time, these people are human beings. They're just as good as anybody else. If you give them the training and the opportunity, they'll be fine. But it's Elon Musk.
They speak funny languages.
Right. And then you're afraid that they're going to bring that funny language over to you and that they're going to do their cultural thing.
Destroy our culture that we've built up for eons and eons.
You can tell conservatives that most of the world doesn't use toilet paper, and that freaks them out. But in reality, the system that they use in, say, Egypt or whatever is actually better. It's better for the environment. It's like a bidet kind of thing. You take some water, splash it on your bum. And
it's much healthier and cleanlier.
Well, you're not wasting huge swaths of forest just so you can wipe your own ass.
For it to still be dirty.
It reminds me of a T-shirt I saw one time. It said, "Save a tree, wipe your ass with an owl." I love it. Yeah. Woo. But that brings me to my next story, because this kind of ties into so the point was sperm counts are decreasing. And that's also another thing that's a big deal. We're moving into this fucking children of men style future, right? A little bit spooky. So this new study that just came out, my wife actually found, and then I wrote an article about. Check this out.
And I've heard this for many years, and I've heard it's been related to more steroids in milk and like a lot of different hypotheses.
Well, that's one of my big hypotheses. Well, first I'll read it. The new study says that since 1977, children have been going into puberty earlier and earlier thanks to obesity and other environmental factors. Now, in this article I wrote, there's several different causations that I found, or possible causations and stuff. But milk was high up on my personal list, where I thought, I'm going to go look at this. And there is some, there's some evidence or whatever, but the idea that milk is a hormonal soup that you drink, that it's from a cow's udder. Let me get my facts straight here. Let me see. Yeah.
Like this, or more like that.
One of these, yeah. I should pixelate this. This is not safe.
Just a cow.
The cow's milk is a hormonal soup that is meant to grow a small beast into a 1,000-pound animal, a big animal. We were always lactose intolerant, and we had to, like human beings were originally lactose intolerant, because we have mechanisms inside us when we breastfeed. After a certain amount of time, don't ask me what it was. I heard about this, but it's some kind of biological mechanism takes over and makes you lactose intolerant, tells you that you don't need milk anymore. But we have circumvented that through years of selective breeding and sort of forcing it on ourselves, like, oh, I don't have anything else to drink. I'm going to be miserable, but this is the only nutrition around. I'm going to drink milk and cheese and stuff like this. And that's true. That's how people have had to survive in the past. But now we're learning that it's not entirely good for us in many, many ways. But one of the ways is the hormones, And so that's one of the reasons why.
Which would maybe not be in, like, say your milk cow in the mountains of Switzerland is not going to be pumped full of hormones.
That's
but the
true.
milk that you're going to get at the grocery store in Los Angeles is.
Yeah. Well, and that's another big difference, right? Bovine growth hormone in milk. That adds an entire new level of hormones in milk. But milk in general has hormones in it. I mean,
natural hormones that are to feed the calf. Right?
To feed a growing calf, right? Yeah. And the more you drink, the more you're ingesting estradiol, or I forget what the other ones are. Several different types of hormones that are. I think there's some insulin resistant kind of thing, or there's insulin in it. Let me look that up real quick. There is
something to do with the sugars.
The sugars, that's what it is. It's a lactose sugar that is, and the fact that it's saturated fat as well. Milk is full of saturated fat. Not the greatest thing you can put in your body, but nevertheless, that's one of the reasons why this issue's come up about the puberty. The other thing is obesity. So a study from the American Academy of Pediatrics found that girls are starting puberty earlier than before, with an average age for an American girl to get her period decreasing from 16 or 17 at the turn of the 20th century to 12 or 13 years old today, which, that's pretty shocking, is it not?
It is.
An analysis of international studies from 1977 to 2013 also showed that girls are starting puberty 3 months earlier every decade during this period. A study published in the Journal of Pediatric Endocrinology and Metabolism suggested COVID-related stress, inactivity, and weight gain could be contributed to sharp spikes in early puberty. Research in dozens of countries has confirmed that age of puberty in girls has dropped by about 3 months per decade in 1970. So, dude, this is a global phenomenon. It's totally bizarre. It's unprecedented. And it's being coupled with all this other environmental kind of shit that's going on, like microplastics, and there's so much things have changed in just 150 years that you have to sort of start putting the pieces together. Well, what's doing this? What is it? Something that we've been doing, or
well, and doesn't it mention it because it goes into whatever environmental factors, but part of that is the advent of social media and the fact that kids are, they're seeing a lot of different stuff at earlier ages.
That could be. Let's see.
Is there some kind of hormonal, mental aspect to it?
I would think so. I would think that there's something there, but I would think more so. I would look more so in diet. If you're talking about hormones in food, or you're talking about sugar itself, or fatty foods, maybe. So I'll read on. See, girls seems to be racing towards maturity at an accelerated pace. They think nutrition and health play a pivotal role. People need access to better diets, vitamins, and minerals. Environmental influence, including exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals, may play a part. These chemicals found in everyday products can interfere with hormonal balance. So on that tip, you have contraceptive birth control does not break down through the water system and gets reclaimed, and that we use it. That's a thing, unfortunately, we have to deal with. Also, pesticides and herbicides do release certain amounts, and I think it is estradiol, into the soil and into the food system. That's something that people are looking at. Yeah. Also, the big one, though, is microplastics, because the chemicals is not just the plastic. The plastic itself, it's some kind of derivative of fossil fuel. It's some kind of oil-based thing. But the hardeners and the stiffeners and the flexors and the things that we put in plastic are the things that we're looking at as being potentially carcinogenic and endocrine disrupting, right? So they found that birds, right, were subjected to eating a lot of plastic. They found plastic in their guts. It was breaking down. It was stuck in their gizzards. For the ones that did digest the plastics, it found traces of microplastics in the bodily organs. So we're talking the tissues of the liver, the tissues of the kidneys. They're stuck in this animal, and then therefore, what's that?
Like seeping into the bloodstream and the muscles and the organs.
Exactly. The microplastics break down to that molecular level so that they can bind with tissue or anything small. They can go into liquid water. You could be drinking them. And once they get in there, they start to, accumulate. And they're saying
you're going to see people made of plastic. Their hands just coming out. Plastic people. Frank
Zappa, yeah. Oh, baby, you're such a drag. Plastic people are becoming a real thing. But these birds, so the deal with the endocrine disruption is like, that's your hormone center. That's where all the hormones come from, is the endocrine system. And when that's messed with, you have oddities. And in this case, with the birds, it was that they weren't developing all the way. So they were going from juvenile birds, and their wings were stunted to where they couldn't grow anymore. And everything about their growth process was stunted and fucked up. And so they couldn't fly home for the winter. And they, this particular bird, I think it was some kind of seabird of some kind, but stuff like this would play right into the narrative here about hormonal changes in human beings. As we know from a WWF, not World Wrestling Federation, but the World Wildlife Fund, people. Come on.
From direct quote from Ric Flair. From
Vince McMahon came out with the evidence. The Undertaker has now done a study, and it says they say that you're eating about a credit card's worth of plastic a week. Yeah.
That's so disgusting.
I was lucky enough to interview Dr. Palasamy from who did the study, and he says he's a hilarious guy, but he hates, what he really hates? He hates this. He went on for 15 minutes about the stickers on fruit. So,
I hate those too. I can't stand that.
Guys, if you hate stickers on your fruit, please let us know in the comments, because I'd really like to hear what you have to say on that tip. And be sure to hit
stickers
like
in general. I have always been, I hate stickers. You go to the doctor's office, they put a sticker on you, you'll be like, fucking off me. You know, you go on a field trip with my name. No, I don't want it. Get it off me.
And you go to vote?
Yeah. I didn't vote.
No, you did.
Stickers on fruit fucking destroys me.
It's terrible.
I always have to cut off the whole piece where the sticker was because, you know, you can't wash off the wax and grosses me out.
If occasionally I get a sticker in my mouth. Oh, windows are getting broken that day. Fucking.
Same. I fucking can't take it.
And the adhesive is strong too. It's no bullshit. It's very, very strong adhesive.
Oh, it's like fucking Gorilla Glue on there.
Yeah. And God knows if it's fucking really edible either. Like, apparently, maybe it's food safe. I'm sure it is, but still.
Food safe, whatever that means.
People have done that. It's like, oh, you can eat it. I'm like, I'm not going to eat any of that.
That sounds disgusting.
But anyway, look, this particular thing with the kids going into puberty too early, they also think it's obesity.
Because they're eating stickers, that's why.
That's the thing, is I think they're all hopped up on stickers from like Chiquita bananas and stuff. Which I don't know why you would eat the banana peel. But
well, do you know these kids these days?
Kids these days with their fucking,
with their TikToks and their banana peels.
The rise in childhood obesity is another key factor. Adipose tissue produces estrogen, and excess fat can trigger hormonal changes. So if you're fat, you're getting triggered into all kinds of a myriad of hormonal changes. You could have mood swings and grow titties and, all of a sudden want to go see a Broadway show. And as obesity rates climb, so does the likelihood of early puberty. So another reason that you should probably go vegan, people, plant-based, whole foods all the way. Don't eat anything that's been in a mill or processed, or don't eat sugar. Don't eat lard.
Don't eat.
Don't eat. Eat.
Don't eat.
Eat good. I don't want to advocate anything bad. I'm making jokes, but hey, let's be serious. Be healthy, people. Eat good. Eat good foods. Watch Dr. Michael Greger. He'll set you straight.
Remember when smoking banana peels was a thing?
Oh, God. That's, I think, when every teenager, right? Do kids still get high off stuff like that?
Because it was in the anarchist cookbook, I think.
Probably. If anything that gets you high off of banana peels, it's the pesticides that they spray on the outside of the thing. Oh,
I tried it once. It just gave me a fucking horrible headache.
Oh, you know what another one was as a kid? If you're a teenager, you say, what you want to do is take some orange peels and ferment them for like 2 or 3 weeks. And when they turn like sort of green, then you eat them and then you'll trip balls. First of all, I did it. It was horrible. Just imagine going over to your compost bucket in your house and taking a big spoonful of furry compost and shoving it down your throat. That's what it was. It was not good.
Like orange marmalade.
A little, not so much. A bit dustier than that, actually. Dustier and foul.
Dusty oranges, my favorite flavor.
Like they have green dust. When oranges go bad, they have this green dust, and you eat that, and you're in bad shape. There was other things like that, right? Too, to get high off of what is like a spoonful of nutmeg.
That one will actually do it, though. That I think Malcolm X would like trip on nutmeg when he was in prison.
Really?
But it also can give you like real bad trips in it, and you have to eat like a ton of it.
Yeah,
or like a spoonful of nutmeg is just not pleasant.
Yeah, I think we didn't. I ended up eating cloves instead. Maybe that was another thing.
Just eating cigarettes.
I remember somebody in my family did that. They took a big spoonful of nutmeg, but I don't remember it doing anything. But
yeah, I think you have to eat like 8 spoonfuls of it or something.
Jesus Christ. That reminds me of when I was in like middle school or high school. I think it was 9th grade or something. This kid, you could take this stuff called Coricidin. It was a cough medicine.
I remember when people were doing that.
It's cough medicine for people with a heart condition. But he was like, you have to take 16 of these pills or something.
Yeah, you take like the whole package or something.
Yeah. So all of a sudden,
people would be passing out and vomiting all over the place and like all fucked up.
Yeah. The things we do to get high, I'm telling you, I've seen it all and I've done almost all of it. Yeah. Don't let I got street cred here, people. I've done it all. I've seen a lot in my day. But yeah, let's see, going back to the study, children are going into puberty earlier. The other thing is you mentioned social and psychological stress, right? Mm-hmm. So there's academic pressure, family dynamics, societal expectations, whatever. This is to account for a lot of misery. We could talk about that another time because that's its own. Yeah,
social media's mental effect on people.
It's a can of worms.
Which I mean, and then we could talk about into the COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act that they're still trying to pass.
Oh, tell me about this.
Here in the U.S. So the COSA bill, it all comes back to, the kids are going to be targeted online, and they're just, I'm no expert on it, but basically what it sounds like it's trying to be is that it just gives the government the ability to be able to track people and be able to label people as like, oh, well, this kid's trans. Like they're searching up these type of things. And then it gives you like where you gonna have to sign in on social media to be able to prove your identity in certain ways.
What's the name of the bill?
The Kids Online Safety Act. Yeah, I think you have it right there.
Yeah, interesting. So I'll also read what it says. The Kids Online Safety Act, COSA, has been a topic of debate with concerns raised about the potential negative implications. Critics argue that COSA could lead to increased online surveillance. Oh, you think? Restrict access to information and empower state attorney generals to define and block content they seem harmful to children.
Which that's a whole can of worms right there in one sentence.
Yeah. I mean, who deems what to be
probably bad? The same Alabama judges that are saying that embryos are living beings.
Oh, God. So welcome back to the We're Doomed report. I'm Chris Jeffries. This is Charlie. We're going to be...
Go fuck yourself.
Just when you see the fucking smoldering tire fire in front of you, you look behind you and there's just this giant diaper fire as you're just surrounded by
diapers.
Oh God. There's not
so I know that it's been trying to be pushed. They haven't brought it to the Senate yet. Introduced in the Senate bipartisan committee May 2nd, 2023. But it was, I think it was tabled by February 2024, the bill had gained more than 60 backers in the Senate to assure its passage, although there had yet to be a companion bill introduced in the House of Representatives. So,
yeah.
So if it ever gets introduced, it's passing in the Senate.
And this is the thing, is the big push. We're always looking for a boogeyman. And in this case, the boogeyman is the people who are out to get your children. Mm-hmm. And it's the greatest thing to scare these people of. Gay kids, trans people, trans bathroom people. They just beat some trans kid to death.
I heard about that. Yeah.
For using the bathroom and stuff. Those 3 young girls just beat this person to death. And people are all worried about, there'll be rapists going in the bathroom. It's like, rape is already illegal, so what's the big deal? I don't understand why we need extra. And
because there's no rape now. Rape never happens now.
Right. And
without rape is bathrooms.
Yeah, I didn't release a fucking statistic like a few weeks ago that pissed everybody off that said 98% of all rape is done by heterosexual white men. Mm-hmm. As if I didn't just tell you fucking people that. is without words, man, without words. So they're doing this, and they're saying, "Oh, your kids. They're in jeopardy." You know why? Because they're trying to teach you gay stuff at school and the books and everything.
And that's all. It's just a cover up to try to
privatize school
and to stop people from actually finding out any real information.
Well, they don't want liberal values at this point. They want conservative, old school values. They don't want progressive ideas, and they want everybody in a bland, sort of generic gray
take
box.
This back to our Christian nationalist platform.
It always leads back to Jesus. Yeah, the idea of conservative, traditional values, and that the family or whatever. You know what the thing?
Traditional values,
bro. Fascists have a vague recollection of history. They have like a tenuous grasp on history anyway. They have revisionist history where they're like, Jesus was an English-speaking white man from Nebraska who hated gays and never helped anybody ever. And I remember Jesus saying
15 AK-47s.
Yeah, I remember Jesus saying, "Kill them all, fuck the poor, kill them all." It's not even a brand of traditional Christian values that ever really existed, right? Their tradition is something that never really was a thing, and they're like reinventing it as they go.
Now, speaking of kill them all, did you hear about Republican Representative Andy Ogles?
Oh yeah, Tennessee? Should we talk about Ogles?
Andy Ogles?
Go ahead. What happened this week?
Well, direct quote. Let's see if we can find the direct quote here.
Bring up the video.
So he was basically being hounded, or whatever word you want to say, by... Well, here, we have the clip right here.
No evidence of that.
So he stops and they say, "Well, what are you doing? Or why aren't you for the ceasefire?" And he's like, "Hamas killed and beheaded babies." This is fucking not true. Okay, this is something the IDF said that has been debunked since.
Yeah, it's already been debunked.
She called him out on it.
I've seen the footage.
You've seen footage of
shredded children's bodies. And that's my taxpayer dollars. I'm going to bomb those kids.
So I think we should kill them all, if that makes you feel better. Everybody, Hamas.
And then he slips in everybody in Hamas. Well, as we know from the rhetoric of American politicians.
He adds, what does he add? He says that Hamas and Palestinians have been killing Israelis for years and years or something. What's the quote that he says?
Okay, so here's it.
There it is, yeah.
They've been attacking Israel for 20 years, and it's time to pay the price.
Israel's been attacking Palestine.
Israel is an occupier. Palestine was there before Israel.
Your naivety doesn't make it true.
My what? There's a genocide happening right now. Do you think I care about?
They're starving women and children. How is that going after Hamas?
Over 300 healthcare workers. Shame on you. You have no heart.
How is turning off water and power on pregnant women going after Hamas?
AIPAC zombie.
Death to Hamas.
Death to Hamas.
Death to Hamas.
So this guy is just a major league fucking piece of shit. I mean, what do you think? Got any choice words?
Yeah, he's just a giant turd. I think actually the turds that come out of my ass are better people than this guy. But
yeah.
And fuck it. Hamas is not a good organization. Hamas is full of a bunch of assholes too. But that's not Palestinians. And this is one of the major things that just Hamas is Palestine. No, that's like me saying that Donald Trump is America. It's sure, they've got followers, but it's not. That's not what makes up a country. Is not made up of their government.
Yeah. And Palestine, to be sure, Palestinians had 60% approve or voted in the government of Hamas. And Hamas isn't really considered a terrorist organization in other countries like China or Russia, or like most of the world sees them as just a political party. I see them as resistance fighters fighting what they perceive to be, and which we know for a fact is an apartheid and illegal settlements of the West Bank that are internationally, known to be wrong. Two-tiered justice system.
What comes in with resistance, shitty people fall into every side on every conflict at times,
And at some point, blood is going to be spilled if you occupy their land and continuously push them out for 75 years. And that's basically what happened. But the straw that broke the camel's back for Hamas was a mixture of things, but it was mostly them killing children in the West Bank and settlers taking people's houses, bulldozing their houses, cutting down their olive orchards, pouring concrete in their wells, driving people off the land.
Every day attacking people in their own homes, kicking them out of their homes. Yeah.
Israel is the only country in the world that can take a child to military court. There's plenty of footage out there. Then this is why most people are upset, because they see it on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, the rest. They see what's happening in Gaza. It's bad. It's wall-to-wall dead children and rubble. But what we don't see are...
Approaching, 30,000 dead
must
now?
Be past that. Half of them are women and children.
If not more.
If not more. There is no footage of Israelis being oppressed by Palestinians in the way that we see Israelis, dehumanizing.
Well, the fact of how just blatant it is, it's like blocking aid trucks, bulldozing people's homes right there, just
shutting off water. All this is documented. Amnesty International, all UN Human Rights Watch, they all know that these settlements in the West Bank and the way that people are treated is wrong. In Israel, they have two streets. They have streets where Palestinians can go, and they have streets where Israelis can go, but Palestinians can't go. But the Israelis can go on any street they want in Palestine. It's not fair. That sounds like apartheid.
A lot like apartheid. Sounds a lot like Jim Crow.
Yeah. So this guy has his head way up his caboose, and I'm sure that if we checked, that we'd know that he's probably receiving AIPAC money.
Oh, no doubt. Andrew Ogles. Let's see.
I'm sure he is. Well, he's
got a real nice picture there, though.
He's a Republican, so you can bet.
Like he's got nice dental work. What did he say on X 2 days ago? His quote, "Liberalism is sabotaging states across the country. Democrats have made it clear that illegals conditioned to vote blue are more important than American citizens. Society is breaking down before our eyes."
Andrew Ogles.
Andy
Ogles.
Andy Ogles. He was the mayor of Maury County from 2018 to 2022.
Yeah, see, this guy is a piece of shit. And so he had to reiterate on his Twitter. He says, when accosted by pro-Hamas activists on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, pro-Hamas. Yeah, that's exactly what they call themselves, right?
There was a fucking newspaper article that just came out in the, what was it? The Oakland Bay or whatever, Bay Chronicle, something like this. And they said, anti-Semitic graffiti written on the wall. And then it shows the picture of the graffiti, and it's like, stop U.S. aid to Israel and end apartheid. And it's like,
yeah, that's not anti-Semitic.
And I have to remind people, Palestinians are also Semitic. They come from the same place, and so they're technically Semites.
There you go. You don't hear that one very often.
Yeah. And then again, with the unsubstantiated allegations of rape and torture of infants and torture, just the worst things. They take baby seals and they burn their eyeballs with hot coat hangers, and they just string them up and
then make them read the Quran with their eyeballs that have been burnt out.
And then they rape them with knives. And it's like, dude, relax. This is not happening. It's not true. But we have video evidence of them demolishing an entire huge city.
Well, and now we have even more evidence of beyond that. We have evidence that Israeli soldiers are raping and killing and executing and just subjugating people.
Harvesting the organs of
dead people. Yeah. Laughing at dead bodies. It's fucking disgusting. So I don't care which side you fall on. If you're doing that shit, you're in the wrong.
Yeah. This is like a bizarre double-speak moment that we're living through, seeing this genocide happen in real time, but everybody going, stand with Israel because it's super important. And if you don't, you're fucking racist. You're anti-Semitic. Don't you remember the Holocaust?
Yeah, and the fact, and then who was it? The president of Brazil compared Israel to what they're doing to Hitler in the Holocaust, and they're like, losing their shit about it.
Yeah. That's a blood libel, sir. Yeah, see, this is the trick that they use. They've been using it since the Holocaust was a thing. It's like, okay, well, but the Holocaust, and everybody's like, okay, that's fine. You can take people's lands and kill people and whatever.
We can do it because we're putting a religion over. It's like they're putting the fruit sticker religion on top of whatever
Israel is just a big fruit sticker. That's all it is. It's just a big U.S. backed fruit sticker on the.
It leaves its sticky muck all over the skin of my avocados.
On the banana of the world. Israel is the fruit sticker, artificially placed there. That might be the greatest thing that we've come up with so far. I'll say it again. Israel is the fruit sticker on the banana of the world, artificially placed there, and there just to annoy the shit out of us.
And murder babies.
And murder children. I mean, that's pretty annoying.
No matter what, even if this was a justified war, if Israel was committing everything in the acts of war, which nobody pays attention to anyway, war is a fucking atrocity. War is a war crime.
Yeah.
If they were doing everything that they possibly could, but they were still murdering babies, it's wrong. How can you not admit that killing a baby is wrong?
Yeah. And then this is where the Zionists say, well, they're using human shields. They're using human shields. If you indiscriminately bomb, an entire section of town, like an entire block of apartment buildings from the air, indiscriminately, how can you not expect to blow up women and children? There's no such thing as the human shields. The human shields thing is a great way to avert yourself from responsibility when it comes to killing civilians. Then anybody can say, well, we killed all those people. Were the Nazis using people as human shields? Or you could say that in any genocide where we genocide all those people. Well, they were just human shields. It's not our fault. It's a justification for something that should be right. You're right. It should be just renounced on the face. Women and children. Oh yeah, that's the rules of war.
That shouldn't be a questionable thing. It's okay if they're Palestinians. It's okay if they're brown people.
Well, they're terrorists, so yeah. But the
regardless,
shields,
these kids are not making political decisions. They're not calling for the death to Israel. Some of them are too young to even speak.
Yeah.
And now they're silenced forever. So
yeah. Isn't it funny how we've come full circle in 100 years' time from the atrocities of the 20th century to a new era of blatant. I mean, I've seen rhetoric from Israelis on the internet, both the politicians and comedians and also normal IDF soldiers and normal people. These people are fucked up. They're fucked up in the head.
It makes me want to puke.
Did you see that they were protesting recently in Israel?
Which time?
Just like this week, they're protesting the government.
Oh, I have. It was, what was it for? It was for it
was nothing about the fucking genocide that they're causing.
It was like a tax hike or retirement age or something, right?
No. That was in France, I think. In Israel, what happened this week was the economy has dropped 18 to 20% in the last 4 years or something. They are going through an extremely tough time. It's probably why they're doing a war, because they said, fuck it, just make some money, steal some people's shit.
Well, I know Netanyahu's... he's at his lowest. They're trying to kick him out of office too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But nothing related to his maniacal terrorism that he's doing.
Yeah, and the thing is, the people they're in the streets protesting with their flags. Are saying we want Israel to get rid of Netanyahu. He's ruining Israel. He's ruining the people. We're poor. We're struggling. Blah blah blah. They don't say anything about the genocide that they're causing. They're actually all indoctrinated with this idea that what they're doing is right, and those people are animals, and that they deserve to die. The majority of Israelis believe that. That's what's frightening, and they're indoctrinated from an early age. I've seen school children talking about how they're like, what's Gaza? It's like it's a place that's not going to exist very much longer because what are we going to do? We're going to bomb them into fucking smithereens. These kids are being taught this shit.
Well, I have friends who've been in the Israeli military, and I've been like, yeah, that's wrong. And they're like, well, you wouldn't say the same thing if you were being shot at by Palestinians. I'm like, well, why are you there in the first place?
Yeah. And are you, though, really? Are you getting shot at? Because 96% of the deaths in Palestine-Israel conflict since 2005 have been Palestinians. The death toll for Israelis is non-existent. It's very, very low compared to how many people they kill and imprison and then harvest the skin. They do. It's insane. And I'm glad that we're starting to wake up. But here's a video right here. Israeli protesters block aid to Gaza as a starvation looms.
Meanwhile, the UN is warning of widespread famine in Gaza, with 1 in 4 people facing starvation as food deliveries struggle to get through. The majority of aid trucks cross through Rafah on Egypt's border with Gaza, but heavy bombardment is hampering efforts. Following US pressure, Israel opened the former goods crossing at Kerem Shalom, as well as an inspection station at Nitzana. Both have been blocked by Israeli protests. DW's Rebecca Ritters reports now from the port city of...
The fact that they even have a land, air, sea blockade, come on.
Well, that's been going on for how long?
15 or 20 years, yeah.
Yeah. And so this may seem a bit trite, as if,
Hit me up.
For instance, I know, and I'm not going to try to call for some sort of international U.S.-led coalition to come try and do this, because I'm sure then that'll fuck it up.
I don't think you have that power, Charlie.
Oh, right. But I'm a taxpayer. Oh. No, but why not just say, you know what? Hey, Israel, if you can't share, like a nice little boy, nice little girl, then it's getting taken away from you. And just pull a parent. If you can't share with the Palestinians, then nobody gets it.
Right. Well, why do you think
why is Jerusalem not just a full-on peace park? And nobody lives there. Nobody gets a government over it. It just becomes an entity that has no government anymore because it's just too much bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the ideal thing is a one-state solution where everybody has the same rights in the same country and there's no blocks on anything or whatever, but that's not going to happen for a few reasons.
And I mean, this just shows my ignorance and how stupid I am in so many ways. But why not? Why can Israelis not just get over, all right, we're going to just be one country. We'll just change the name. It won't be Palestine or Israel. It's going to be called fucking Bananistan, you know? Like
Bananistan. There's always money in the Bananistan.
Always.
I mean, Charlie, how can you be so naive? I mean, obviously, racism is real, and that some people don't want other people to have nice things.
But is it just that simple? Is it just that it's all about racism?
No. The thing is, when you start talking about conflicts, right, and why are people fighting? The answer a lot of times gets posed as theocratic differences, cultural differences, stuff like that. But really, we know what the real deal is.
Well, and as Israel uses all the time, is that like Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, their main stance is that Israel should not exist, and they want to wipe it off the face of the earth. Okay, so how does that get turned into every Palestinian becomes a second-rate non-citizen?
Well, there's what's said, and then there's what's meant, right? And those are the things that are just said. That are like, well, we want to destroy blah 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 blah. Like in reality, the reason why Israel exists and continues to exist and continues to be hated by those groups that you mentioned is because it's a military outpost and a colony that's there for a reason to gather intelligence and to be poised in that region in order to be able to act quickly on military and geopolitical matters. And
it's a country that money is funneled through.
It's a country where money is funneled through. We funnel our we launder our taxpayer money through Israel by supplying them with arms. You know, the tax money goes to the military, the government, and then the government
then they sell to other people too.
Right, and then Israel is supposed to have our back in whatever that means in that region.
Oh, thanks.
And you know, the thing is, we give them $3 billion a year for the last 75 years, and they have free university health care. That's a little fucked up, you know. I don't mean to go all America first,
but why would these? I'm a fiscal conservative, but I don't want any money to go to the U.S. But why is it okay to send billions to other countries and not spend anything on your own? This
is interesting because we sound like modern day Republicans who say, "Oh, the Ukraine war is bullshit. No, we shouldn't be giving money." You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene said, "You know, Ukraine ain't the 51st state, y'all." and I kind of agree with her. Like, it's not, and neither is Israel. They're not the 51st state. So why is it so important? It's because imperialism. We have to have things other places. The military strength that we have in those
and the stocks Israel, that our Congress people are trading, it is all related to those. This is arms shipments that need to be sent.
Yeah, you're asking the real reason, and that is the real reason. It's strategic placement and
money
and laundering money. I mean, it's a great way to launder money.
And the love for watching the world crumble.
I don't know if that's in the intention, but it's definitely the byproduct.
So there must be some kind of demented love for it.
Well, there's a sociopathic kind of leadership in the United States that, you know, Kissinger and all these people, they don't give a fuck about morality or ethics. What they were concerned with was national security and making sure that you can't let anything go wrong. And that means fucking over people preemptively. Like, this is Minority Report. Like, we got to bust him before he even does anything.
Before he even thinks about it.
Yeah. We need to make sure that all of our potential enemies are subdued at all times. Yeah, that's what I think. Anyway, but you know, it's complex and everything.
But that becomes the person sitting in the room by themselves. Everyone's the enemy. It's coming. So I must destroy them all. You know.
Well, that's why white colonialist people, white European people, have a deep-seated paranoia deep in their blood that's, you know, surges and makes them make xenophobic decisions constantly, where they say, "Well, you're gonna kill Chinese people because they're bad. We had to wipe out all the Native Americans. We refused to culturally live with other people. Now, this isn't just a white person thing, though. I mean, throughout history, tribalism and stuff, we don't like other cultures.
Different.
It's not good for if you're trying to rally the troops. If one guy's like, well, I want to wear a pink hat, and the other guy's like, well, I want to wear a green hat. And you're like, everybody's going to wear a gray hat. Shut the fuck up and get on the same page. And that's kind of.
But then we're going to go make our own rebel faction, and
pink hats, become the pink hat brigade.
The pink hats.
And that's pretty much all it really takes. And a lot of the times it is based in theocracy or some kind of cultural difference where they say, well, we just like to wear boxer shorts. And we're like, well, we like to wear briefs. Well, it's like, well, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah, fuck you and your briefs.
Yeah. That's a bigger discussion for another time. Like the reason why we organize society, and we talk about that a lot, but like at some point you do have to be manipulative and just horrible in order to organize a group, a nation, right? To lead a nation. You have to just be a horrible piece of shit.
So is there no way to lead a nation under my own morals? Is it impossible?
Well, you're asking me. I think no matter what, if power is centralized in any aspect, and there are rules, laws that are written that are supposed to fit for everybody, that's already wrong. I mean, there's some people who should be allowed to kill people. I don't know. There should be. I don't know about that. That's true, but there should be.
But who becomes the morality judge?
How many people get thrown under the bus for some old bullshit law that is not important? They were safe, they weren't hurting anybody, but yet this law needed to be prosecuted for no reason. I mean, it's at some point you're going to throw somebody under the bus for no parking tickets, or go take somebody to jail for unpaid parking tickets or something like that. It's not a smart way to do things. And so centralized, anytime that anything is centralized, there will be systematic, hiccups and burps that make the whole thing not work. And also an oppressive nature to it. That's why I'm big on the libertarian socialist thing, okay? Saying you want government to be extremely small, but when it does something, it's something that's good for everybody. And that's it. Libertarian, keep the government off my back. But if you're going to rein in anybody, rein in powerful things that aren't doing the world any good, like polluting corporations or extremely rich people. All right, let's watch this video a little more.
This port should be processing much-needed food donations for Gaza, but it's not. The Israeli government is in a battle with UNRWA, the agency tasked with distributing the aid, and has blocked its passage.
Shipping containers of rice, flour, chickpeas and even cooking oil, enough to feed more than 1 million people for about a month, are stuck here in the port city of Ashdod, less than 70 kilometres from Rafah, and the people who so desperately need it.
These people are making it even harder for aid to get through. The group of Israeli protesters are at the Nitzana border crossing with Egypt.
So these people are fucking evil. I mean, look at this bitch. Her whole mission is to stop food.
From starving people.
Doesn't this
Mostly
look like
women and children.
Doesn't this look like a fucking some regular person?
Yeah, the regular people are the ones that are the fucking worst.
It blows my mind that regular people, regular looking people, like she's got these glasses on.
And she would go out there and spend her time to do this just to make someone else's life more miserable.
Yeah.
Why spend your time doing that? Like, go fucking yell at people in the park or something if you really just want to be a wretched fucking cunt,
Some kind of genocidal level Karen action happening here. All right, let's see what
Egypt trying to stop the trucks that are brought here for Israeli inspection. French-Israeli Rachel Tuitu was among one of the first to take action. She helped form a group called Sav9 and says its support is growing.
We started up a month ago. We were 50 people protesting. Now we are on our greatest day. We were 400, and it's been only 5 weeks.
They cite Israel.
So we're like having like a lot of success, like starving people because we're just coming out to do the right thing, which is starve women and children. And we just,
and like, she's French Israeli too. She probably doesn't even live there most of the time.
Yeah. Here's a newsflash. None of Israelis, you guys are fucking Polish. Okay. You're not, you're not Arabs. You get skin cancer at like 10 times the rate as the native population there. That's true. Tell me that Israelis belong there. Here, let me look that up real quick. The skin cancer in Israelis.
Well, because there's all different factions that I know that there's like the Yemeni Israelis. There's I don't know.
You got Arab Israelis. You've got Ethiopian Jews who also live there, but they still get spat on by rabbis and stuff. Mm-hmm. Christians as well. They also get spat on. The incidence of skin cancer, particularly in malignant melanoma, is concerned in Israel. Has the second highest skin cancer rate in the world. Talk about being obviously a fruit sticker on the banana of the world that you're artificially there. You don't belong there. You have the second highest skin cancer in the world. Holy shit. More than what? Australia? That's like another thing. Australia's, there was a penal colony. You take all those people there, they get burned to a crisp, and now they all got red hair and pink skin. God, that's fucked up, isn't it?
I just can't.
Yeah. Here's a little bit
media
more.
Reports that suggest a majority of the aid that makes it into Gaza is diverted by Hamas as the reason their movement began.
We are basically blocking the humanitarian aid, what I call the inhumanitarian aid, that goes into Gaza and falls into the hands of Hamas. The convoys include food, but it also includes fuel. The fuel is what is very problematic for Israel. We're fighting Hamas, and on the second hand, we are giving him the fuel to continue to fight us, to alimент the tunnels, the terror tunnels, the aeration system, and the electricity.
In a statement to DW, UNRWA says there's no evidence of systemic diversion of aid in Gaza by Hamas or any other armed groups.
Yeah. I can't believe that these people exist. It's fucking pathetic and sad. There you go. So that's the story there.
Well, now we have Egypt they're actively constructing a 16-kilometer squared fenced area along the border of Rafah.
Oh, right, yeah.
As we speak right now.
To hold,
so I'm sure that's got nothing to do with anything. I'm sure they're just building a soccer stadium or something, right? Right there on the border. So what it looks like is that they'll try to funnel millions of people into a 16-kilometer squared prison.
Yeah. Well, a concentration camp.
Yeah.
The idea of concentration camps actually came from America. So the United States got their ideas from concentration camps from us. From how we
just had the anniversary of Manzanar and all those camps that were set up for the Japanese.
Yeah, that was in 1942, yeah. But apparently Hitler was really inspired by the way that we genocided Native Americans, and
one of the grandest genocides of them all.
Yeah, which nobody likes to talk about. We grew up talking about Hitler a lot, but we don't talk about Wounded Knee or anything.
Old Tippecanoe.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
It's one of the most disgusting, ongoing events in history.
Still going.
Yeah, still going.
Yeah, Wounded Knee was pretty amazing. I just interviewed the activist Paul Watson, Captain Paul Watson, and he was at Wounded Knee, and this is the time when the FBI had a shootout, or federal agents had a shootout with Native Americans, and it was one of the last great acts of resistance by Native American tribes against what has happened to them. I forget what exactly prompted it, but they were fighting back, and it was kind of cool. And then they go to the Oscars like the next year, and Marlon Brando was supposed to win Best Picture.
I remember that. Yeah.
And he has this girl come on, this Native American girl, to come on and talk about Wounded Knee and what's happening there. And she starts giving this speech. Dude, people start booing her. John Wayne gets up out of his seat and charges the stage, and people had to hold him back from physically. And that piece of shit, Clint Eastwood, is in the audience booing him.
Fuck John Wayne. Fuck Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. These were fly-by-night, fucking good, blue-blooded, uneducated, brainless, patriotic American stooges.
Yeah. It's the narrative of the cowboy and the new frontier. That's what makes that's part of the American lore.
And unquestioned patriotism and the mindless rhetoric of it's the best country in the world, taking pride in something that you have done nothing to accomplish anything. I'm proud of where I come from. You were just born there.
Rewriting it as something that didn't happen into something that this is exactly how it happened.
Yeah. Oh, we love revisionist history. We love it. And then we make shit up about other countries we don't like. Like Stalin killed 100 million people. He killed maybe 20. But 100.
Right, let's not start propping up Stalin.
No, I'm just saying the Black Book of Communism has been debunked for a long time. While we systematically forget that famines happened in Ukraine and it killed a lot of people, and we tack that on to his tally of dead people, but we don't tack that on to people in America when the Dust Bowl happened, where capitalism definitely caused a Dust Bowl, and the people
all the hundreds of tribes that were starved, the bison that were just annihilated for the fact to stop native people from eating them, from hunting them, to stop them from living their way of life.
That's kind of what
systematic oppression of people's lives.
That's what they're doing. We just saw that video of them blocking aid. It's like, I'm going to break all my toys so none of the other kids get to play with them. I'm going to make sure that these people don't get anything. So they kill all the fucking buffalo. Yeah, that's naughty behavior. That's naughty. You shouldn't do that.
That's why I think Israel needs a timeout.
I think it's about time for a timeout. And for their potty mouth too, they need their mouth washed out, I think, too, with a little soap.
Yeah. A little toilet
Stick a
water.
bar of soap. Yeah, put their head in the toilet, give them a swirly. It's about time. So here, next story. We're doing good today, Charlie. We got a good show going. We're really cooking with gas. I was playing Walter Cronkite on the weekday. Report, wildlife populations have declined by an average of 69% over the last 50 years.
The Walter Cronkite voice.
Oh, you're trying to do it? Okay, here. Go ahead, read this in your best Walter Cronkite voice.
Let's see. Wildlife populations have declined by an average of 69% over the past 50 years.
Not bad. Not bad. Let's see if I can do a newsman voice. Oh, this is, the world is a cacophony of life, a symphony of species, each with its unique note, its own rhythm. But lately, the orchestra has been faltering. The crescendo of biodiversity is giving way to a mournful dirge.
Such a musical.
Yeah. Well, you got to stay musical with these things. WWF Living Planet Report of 2022 serves our somber sheet music, revealing the dissonant truth. Our wildlife populations have been silenced, their melodies fading into oblivion. So the report came out in 2022, said the decline by an average of 69% over the past 50 years. Latin America has experienced the greatest regional decline, average about an abundance at 94%, while freshwater species globally have seen the greatest overall decline at 83%. So there's lots of stuff floating around about how much wildlife we've lost. I've heard everything from 70% to 90%, but since 1900, we've lost an incredible amount of wildlife. And this by itself is bigger news than any single genocide or what's going on in Israel. What's going on in Israel is very bad, and it's human beings being killed, but this is a lot more ominous and sort of silent story that's going around.
Well, it's possible death to everyone on Earth.
This is pretty much my contention about where to prioritize this. Last year, an intergovernmental panel of scientists reported that 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction. Global populations of mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, reptiles like me, have plunged by an average of 68% between 1970 and 2016. So,
well, and a lot of people you're going to get, well, who cares about a fucking otter or whatever? And people don't realize that ecosystems are interconnected, that if one thing goes, then the next thing goes, or then, you know, the horde of like ass-stinging flies take over because the bum rush frog wasn't there to eat it, you know?
Exactly. Biodiversity is a delicate dance, my friend. I had a guy the other day, I was like, oh, this one fucking animal is going to go extinct. And he goes, okay, fine, survival of the fittest. Or it's like bees. Like if bees all die off, there's like bees are going extinct. He's like,
which
big
are
deal.
A keystone species, right?
Bees
are a keystone species.
Quoting me Charles Darwin to say, well, it's survival of the fittest, and we won. So what's the big deal? Like we're number one. We're number one.
We won,
dude. Charles Darwin, when he said survival of the fittest, he meant in a different way. He also knew that there was a symbiotic relationship between all life on Earth and that there was interweaved sort of systems helping each other out, totally dependent on each other. People are really hard to convince them that something so abstract and nebulous could be important as the environment. It's been the struggle from the very beginning of the environmentalist movement, was trying to get people to care about something that, you know, didn't immediately, like microbes in the soil. Who gives a fuck? I never even seen a microbe.
It's a stupid bush.
What's a big deal? It's just a bumblebee. Who cares?
Yeah. Trying to sting my daughter.
Yeah, we should get rid of them all. You know, they used to spray DDT like it was going out of style because they wanted to enjoy a nice picnic without all the mosquitoes. Human beings have done nothing but fuck up everything since the very beginning with their quote-unquote progress for their own quote-unquote convenience. I say let the fucking mosquitoes sting you. A little adversity would do you good, and maybe, just maybe, you get fucking, what's that shit? You get malaria, and you die. You swell up like a grapefruit, and you just fall over dead. Good. Fuck you. According to the recent UN report, biodiversity is decreasing on Earth, potentially hundreds of times faster than the average rate over the past 10 million years. More than 25% of living species on Earth today are either facing extinction or now at risk of facing extinction in the near future. The Living Planet Index tracks the health of nature across the globe. It looks at 32,000 populations of 5,000-ish animal species. And they find that there's also about a 69% decline in wildlife populations. And land use change remains one of the biggest current threats. So we're talking about deforestation for crops, fishing.
And this connects with one of the articles I sent you about.
Oh, let's go to that next. Yeah.
The savanna in Brazil.
So, and I'll just wrap up here. Habitat destruction, climate change, pollution, and over-harvesting is one of the big drivers of this stuff. But yeah, going to the article that you sent, and I found this to be just as interesting and very on point with some of the things that I've been reading recently. Cerrado, well, here, I'll let you read this in your best Walter Cronkite.
Beef trade risks key Brazil ecosystem.
So tell me what you got about this. What did you come away with this article with?
So what I came away with, that it's a couple of big Brazilian beef companies that are basically just illegally cutting down portions. So it's not the rainforest, it's the grasslands of Brazil, I believe, is what the Cerrado is. And so everyone's like, oh, it's because the rainforest is protected, blah, blah, blah. But these grasslands are not protected under the same rules, yet they're incredibly integral to the entire ecosystem of that area. And I think it said, was it 80% of that area has already been deforested illegally? I don't know if it was that big of a number or not.
Let's dig in through here. So we're talking about in Mato Grosso. Now, this is a big beef growing area. This is a lot of the beef comes from in the world. They deforest a lot of places, mainly to get the humus.
And they want to grow soybeans there, right?
Yeah, well, and that which they're in turn going to feed to cattle.
They feed cattle and chicken.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, which you could cut out the middle.
I think that's where I got the 80% from. I think 80% of the soybeans or more go to cattle and chickens, not to humans.
Yeah, and this is the big contention with the plant-based community. The vegans are always they know that most of the soy is going to livestock, but a lot of carnivore people don't know that yet. They don't realize that this is a big driver of climate change with, cows farting and burping, of course, but then also the deforestation. And
what does it say at the beginning of that article? It's like contributes to 5% of the... Yeah.
Here, I'll give it a go. Beef production in the three of the largest world's biggest meat packers has been linked to illegal deforestation. The savanna, which featured Planet Earth 3, hosts 5% of the Earth's species and is a buffer against global warming, of course, because, it's a good place to sink.
It makes air.
Right. Companies JBS, Minerva, and Marfrig.
Marfrig
and liar said that they acted in line with the local law. So they say, oh no, we're doing everything legally, but
because there's no law, because it's only if they're cutting down forest. It doesn't count if it's savanna, I believe.
So they found a little loophole.
Yeah.
In the last year, of rate of deforestation alone in the Amazon was halved, while the Cerrado surged by 43%. So they're deforesting places at a rapid...
So they're just deforesting other areas instead of the rainforest.
Which the new president, Lula da Silva, was supposed to come in and take care of that, but I don't know if he's going to come through. The world, there's a lot of people who know that plant-based diets and this food system needs to be rethought. Most of the smart people who work on this project, but the capitalists are in charge. And so it's a lot of what we see in other aspects where corporations are just doing the exact opposite of what we need environmentally and
what will actually help
the majority of people. Right. In Western governments, in capitalist governments, it's not about what is for the greater good. In China, at least they have state-sponsored capitalism where Xi Jinping is actually trying to do what is good, socialist principles, Marxist principles, and say, well, if it's not for the greater good, I'm not going to do it. He subsidized EVs, trains. The government has control over which direction it goes. It's not profit motive driven. And that's really something we should be looking at as a
not supposed to be.
I mean, they execute bankers in these kind of countries, in Vietnam and China. They don't allow for white collar corruption, and they have backstops.
They're not supposed to, but there's plenty of people making money.
Billionaires. They're still billionaires, right? You have Jack Ma.
On the side of Xi Jinping, though.
Sure. But if it's power, it's just power. But if it's going to degrade the empire, if it's going to weaken the populace, they won't do it. That's what I'm saying. But in the case of the United States, we don't care. We just want to do whatever makes money. And so we'll give people antidepressants and give them poisonous food and not give them health care and then charge them for the insulin. And it's not about that, you know. Privatize everything because we can make money off it. Fuck it. If people want education, they're going to pay through the nose to get it.
Or else it's communism.
Right.
Anything that might do anything for the public is communism.
Yeah. And see, I don't pick out enemies like China. I just look at China, what China does. What do they do is bad? What do they do? It's good. And I can point out several things that they are doing that could be applied in Western countries that would severely increase the standard of living for normal people. Like the fact that it's 60% cheaper to live in China if you subsidize food to a higher degree, healthy food, not just meat and dairy, which they do. They subsidize the shit out of it because it's hard to turn a profit with something so expensive and laborious. But if you actually, you know, started there, subsidize housing like they do in places like Germany, make sure that there's enough housing for everybody. And we're slipping here too, but at the same time, China makes sure that there's a certain amount of stuff going on. They have these big projects. They build these huge apartment buildings and they go, oh, well, nobody's going to live here. Oh, let's just knock them down. It raises their GDP to keep building and then to just let them sit empty. Probably.
I've been to some of those weird
ghost towns?
Neighborhoods where there's just nobody there. It's really creepy.
Yeah, see, this is something we should dive into deeper, but what are they doing over there? I mean, obviously, it's communist. And under communism, didn't everybody have housing?
Petty capitalist. No, there are still homeless people in China. They don't just here's your house. No.
Is there less homelessness per capita?
Visually, yes.
In China,
visually
versus and this is all like, well, I don't know what data you're going to get. You're going to get some trivial data that's like, well, what's a homeless person in China might not be. Well, he lives in a porta potty and that's fine or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, they also, I think they can just clear people off the street to make it visually appealing, you know.
That too. I mean, they do that.
The U.S. is getting more strong-handed in doing stuff like that too. Well, they have empty apartment buildings just sitting there. This is one thing that was just going over in my mind that it just sounded so cute and brilliant to me. That the way you fix homelessness is to give people a home.
Yeah,
it's quite simple, I think. And these all these ways that you're supposed to end homelessness, like there's one way. That's the only way.
I like what George Carlin says. He says, these people don't need a home. The home is too abstract. They need a house. They need a housing. Yeah. Home is too abstract of a concept. Mm-hmm. In terms of homelessness per capita, China and the United States have different situations. In 2011, China had approximately 2.58 million homeless people, which includes both adults and children. The estimated homeless rate in China, was 19 per 10,000 inhabitants. Okay, you got that? 19 per 10,000 inhabitants. The United States...
And there's a lot of people in China, too.
Yeah, well, this is per capita, right? So we got the per capita number, which is 19 per 10,000 inhabitants. The total number is 2.58 million. So that's out of 2.2 billion or whatever. The United States, on the other hand, despite being considered a global leader, the U.S. still faces an incredible amount of homelessness. Population of about over 500,000, 600,000 individuals per night. This translates to a homeless rate of approximately 62 per 10,000 individuals. I was right. Homelessness in China is a fraction. It's literally like
I believe it.
3 times higher in the United States. Homelessness is 3 times higher in the United States than China. So right there are things that China is doing that we should be applying. I mean, most of their countrysides aren't even developed yet. Like they don't even have running water and electricity in a lot of rural Chinese villages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet still we have 3 times as much homeless people as them. Fuck me running, dude. What the fuck?
Well, and the United States just has this where people just think they're we know everything, and homeless people. I hear this argument a lot. The people that are homeless, they want to be homeless.
Yes, this is a typical conservative talking point. Yeah,
and okay, I'll give you that to an extent. People don't want to be homeless though. They want to be able to be free and do what they want.
Right.
Because these people that are saying this have never had to go through the process of trying to get into a homeless shelter. They don't realize that you can't go to a homeless shelter and be addicted to drugs at the same time, or if you have mental health problems, or the fact that homeless shelters can house 1% of the homeless population of any city because they're not functional and they don't work the way that people believe they work.
Yeah.
I worked for years as a homeless outreach person for a methadone clinic, and it's nearly fucking impossible to get anyone housed in even for the night, let alone permanently.
Yeah. Saying that homeless people, they like to be homeless. They're choosing that. It's like saying, when you go to eat a steak, well, I read somewhere that cows like being killed, so it's fine. It's a way for those people to wash their hands of any kind of guilt or basic human decency, to address that some simple solutions could really help out the needy. But as everybody knows, nobody gives a fuck about the poor. George Carlin said also, he said, you know why we don't solve homelessness? There's no money in it. There's nothing we can do.
Exactly.
So this is
why everything is terrible and the world's fucked.
Yeah, and humans are fucking the worst animal in the whole world. But yeah, like you're saying that China. I'm saying China is doing a lot of things right. China.
You gotta
China's
say
the best. I know Chinese. I'm the only guy that really knows Chinese. My Chinese is great. I went to China. I rode on a llama. It was great. It was tremendous. Give it a go. Yeah, I mean, so going back to this article about meat in Mato Grosso in Brazil, this plays into my wider thing about biodiversity loss, but also fucking vegan diets. I mean, vegan diets could definitely save the world. Vegan diet, plant-based diet, whatever you like to call it. Call it the bean diet, because that's what it is. It's beans.
Bean diet.
Bean diet. Cattle ranchers using deforested land in Mato Grosso. 12% of deforested land. I don't know what all these green cows mean. Oh, in the Cerrado.
So the green are in that Savannah Cerrado region, and the purple is in the Amazon rainforest.
So I think what they're saying is they cut down on some of the deforestation happening in Amazon, but they've just switched over to some other.
They've switched it to a new area, basically. Yeah,
and that's
a lot of it being done illegally.
Well, they say, the companies claim that they're doing it legally, but the courts will ultimately, like the genocide in Israel is totally legal until they ultimately get found out.
And this doesn't account for all the rural and native peoples that are being displaced because, they have thugs that'll go in and murder people and kick people out of a lot of these areas in the forest.
Definitely. And there I've seen documentary films on how they do hire tough guys to go out there and beat people to death with chains. Indigenous people who go out there to protest their land being stripped. They'll just go out in Brazil. They'll just kill you. They'll hire assassins and shit. They used to get away with that kind of stuff in Canada too. Indigenous people trying to protest their land when they go to strip out the tar sands or anything like that. They'll just murder you in the middle of the night, of course. So, but yeah, that was a hell of a story. And I encourage everybody to go plant-based. You know, what else you going to do? So let's see. We got a few more stories, and then we're going to call it. We've had quite the news week. I know that there's a lot going on in the world, but we want to get to some of these stories before we run out. We do our 2-hour bit. So let's see what we got here. This is a quick little story that I wrote earlier in the week. That's good news, actually. In 2023, the UK had the lowest number of pigs slaughtered since 2013. Now, this could be interpreted a lot of different ways, but I see it as a net positive. I didn't, however, find the data that says how much imports are happening. Maybe they're just importing the same amount.
They're just importing more because it's cheaper.
So there you go. There's cute little oinkers there. They are the 6th smartest animal in the world, and they are smarter than dogs, and we eat them like it's going out of style. Everybody loves bacon, blah, blah, blah. They're actually quite nice little critters. 10 million were killed, though, still in 2023. So that's a lot of pigs. Think of that, 10 million pigs. You're talking about 20,000 people just died, right? In Palestine, 30,000 people died. 10 million pigs died. Not because we disagreed with them ideologically, but because we were hungry.
Fucking fascist pigs.
As if they could have some kind of political leanings. Their political, outlook is, I want to live and I want to eat stuff, and that's it.
Oink oink.
Yeah. Pretty much that's what I hear from all the representatives of the pig constituency is oink oink.
But there's those pink shirts that are out there.
Pink shirts, the pink hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the reasons is people are going away from meat consumption, which is good. Joey Carbstrong, our dude we talked about last week, he also made a point to show his movie's blowing up on Amazon. People are starting to see it and stuff. People are turning plant-based overnight. It's pretty cool. The rise of plant-based alternatives. It's a sort of a supply and demand story at this point. But yeah, and of course I got to mention, what was his name? Esther, I think she was a lady. Esther the Wonder Pig was a pig that was, rescued from the slaughterhouse and given a home. And she turned out to be this great, awesome companion, really smart, used the potty by herself. Just smart fucking animal. She just passed away. She was a huge inspiration for a lot of people out there to go vegan. Yeah, rest in peace, Esther the Wonder Pig. All right, next story we got here. You'll like this one. You read this one out, Charlie.
Amazon founder Jeff Bezos spent $42 million on a clock.
It would have been better if it was a dildo or something, but no, it was a clock.
Double-sided clock. It's built into a mountain or some bullshit, right?
Yeah. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos spent $42 million on a double-sided, black, throbbing, giant, vibrating clock.
Dolphin dildo.
Here's our guy. He's explaining why the clock is useful. He's going...
The pictures of him are always so goofy looking.
I mean, he's some kind of mutant, isn't he? He's
real goofy looking.
I mean, not to make fun of a person's appearance, but with the lazy eye, he's really got the Dr. Evil thing down.
He really does. When he tries to look cool with his sunglasses on.
Oh, yeah. Well, he started lifting weights like this midlife crisis style, and then he divorced his cute bookworm sort of wife, who was obviously a good person, to marry this woman who looks like the bride of Satan. Have you seen his new wife?
I haven't seen it. Some Cruella de Vil looking Disney villain.
No, she just has Lauren Sanchez. That's her name. She looks evil. She looks evil and fake. Here, this picture here. Let's see if I can bring this up. Hang on. Look at this. Look at how evil she looks.
That's a lot of plastic surgery going on there too.
That's
right?
a lot of plastic. Yeah. And he's thrilled.
The plastic.
He's thrilled about it. He's like, I've got a Barbie doll. Yay.
Yeah. She can't move her mouth. It's permanently fixed like this.
Yeah. She says, I can't cry, otherwise my tear ducts will explode. This is like a woman that would like have a bunch of puppies put down. She's like, because they're inconvenient or something, or to make a coat out of, like Mr. Burns.
Yeah, straight up Cruella de Vil. All of the puppies.
And they all the rich people have veneers. You know, they have these fake teeth.
Uh-huh. I don't like the fake teeth. They always look fake no matter what.
I mean, they're phosphorescent, like white. They match your fucking big socks. Yeah.
They're like my teeth are already falling out. I'm just going to let them fall out. I don't want this big, like, dental dam looking thing in front of my face.
You look like Nancy Kerrigan or like a fucking horse or like, I don't know. I
can't even do that smile. Like I can't even open my mouth that wide.
That's why she's got the evil mouth too, where it just really curls up, and I don't know, man.
It like slurps her baby organs.
Look at her eyebrows, how they're slanted so far down. She looks like a Disney villain.
There it is. Disney villain and Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil and Cruella de Vil, if I ever saw it. Am I right, people? Let us know in the comments how you feel. Yeah, anyway, that's disturbing. So anyway, he builds this clock. 42 million for this double-sided, throbbing, vibrating, massive clock. Mm-hmm. Clock sucker. That ticks just once a year for the next 10,000 years. The clock is known as the 10,000-year clock. The clock is long now. The monumental project is to be designed to be a long-term thinking. Yeah, what is this? Some kind of masturbatory, like, billionaire wet dream thing, legacy project?
And it's only going to tick once every 5 billion years.
I'm sure his name is engraved in there to, satiate his ego.
And I hope 10 million years from now, someone finds it after it's been caved in, after the world's just gone to shit. Oh, fuck this asshole. They just
look at this arrogant piece of shit that built this fucking clock.
Apparently this guy had enough money to like feed and house the entire country, and he just built this instead.
I would hope that after a while we'd be so smart to not revere anybody who did anything from the past. Just be like, everybody who was a great man, Thomas Edison or like Christopher Columbus. At some point you realize that these people, Mother Teresa or
they all end up being terrible.
Gandhi was a wife-beating piece of shit, The Dalai Lama took money from the CIA. These Mother Teresa just wouldn't give people treatment on purpose because she believed that that's what God's plan was. It's like, no, don't give them any pain relief. God wants them to suffer. It builds character.
She was quite racist too, right?
Yeah, super fucking racist. But anyway, look, this douche built a clock. Not very practical thing. As we just realized that the homeless rate in America is like insane. He's like, I'm gonna make a clock.
But then at the same time, look, we are indebted to his, as you said, you even talked about that documentary. It's up on Amazon. It's gaining momentum on Amazon.
Yeah, isn't that frightening that everything has to revolve around that? We're saving the world, but we have to do it on Facebook.
Yeah, like right now, I guess we're not actively using. Well, I'm sure
we are.
It's owned by one of those conglomerates.
We are horrible pieces of shit, Charlie. Let me tell you something. We are using We are using devices that were built by Africans.
Oh yeah, we're on our mined probably by child slaves.
The screens themselves have animal products in them. They were derived from animal products to make LCD screens. We're going to use YouTube, which is like basically a front for the United States government, but Google works hand in glove with the State Department and the NSA and all these corporations that we're taking part in. They willfully and excitedly, enthusiastically share their data with police without any question. We're so fucked. We're so fucked. It's crazy. Oh yeah, you didn't know?
I do. I don't know about you.
I don't know about you, but I knew we was fucked from the very beginning.
Hickory Trick's got something to say about that.
Oh, how y'all doing? My name's Hickory Trick, and I just want to say humanity is nothing but a bunch of bullshit. It's just a booger on the table of life.
It's humans like chili con carne made with only jalapenos.
Let me tell you something. Human beings is like a big old chili fart.
Big stanky.
I think that was the Squidbillies. He's like, my love for Jesus is like a great big old chili fart. The more I hold it in, the more it hurts.
It's a good show, though.
Yeah. All right. So the last story of the day, which is going to wrap us up just in time, is kind of a big one. You'll like this one.
Go on forever, though, couldn't it? If it's it's what I think it is. Yep. This could lead us down another 9 hours of talk here.
Yeah. So let's hear you read it out and then give me your take.
Alexei Navalny.
Read it like Sean Connery.
Called immigrants cockroaches and was aligned with neo-Nazi nationalists and Western governments. Is that Sean Connery enough?
That's very Sean Connery.
So yeah, Navalny is dead. Navalny has been a racist.
So what's your real take, though? I mean, give us the background and give us a little bit of taste.
Well,
who's this?
I mean, my take almost has nothing to do with Navalny, though. Like, Navalny is one character in a mosaic of shit that is built up across the former USSR, the US, and the Cold War environment that still exists today, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Navalny has been propped up by, especially, like, you see, like, diplomats laying roses on these, things that people have set up for him, which Russia is destroying, and then he has been and will be one of the greatest figureheads that will be known as opposition to Putin. Whether he's been a piece of shit in the past, that's not going to be regarded anymore. And I think that Putin has almost made him. I mean, who have I got? I've got a quote from, who is it? Another one of the Russians who's been against Putin. Where is it? Saying, this is Boris Akunin, who has been put on Russia's list of terrorists, thinks that Navalny will be a bigger threat now to Putin than he ever was alive, and believes that Putin will launch a campaign of terror now to suppress any of this.
I mean,
so that's just right off the bat.
That could be. I mean, I would have to think that this particular gentleman was an opportunist, that he saw an ability to seize power in one way or the other. I mean, maybe he saw the oligarchic nature of Russia or whatever, but you know, to start out with the rhetoric that he did, I mean, I was never a person that I was just racist or anything. But you know what? Woody Guthrie was famously super racist, like at the very beginning of his career. When Woody Guthrie first left home, he wrote some super fucking racist songs, okay? And then he went to his first like few demonstrations where people died. Like he went to the first massacre, union breaking
when he actually met black people or something.
Kind of. No, I mean, he grew up in Oklahoma with among, you know, colored people or whatever at what they said in the time. But he just picked up what his father said and what everybody in his little podunk town said. And then by the time he got to California and he saw these massacres done by these robber barons that were hiring people, he got corrected by black folks. They're like, yeah, you shouldn't do the kind of music. It's not, you're going to fly very.
That's actually not very cool.
And so he never really did that ever again. And he realized later that we were all sort of comrades against capitalism and against robber barons.
He had a real, and I mean, that's something that should be, I mean, I'm not going to prop up former racists as being great people. Like just, you know, but people can reform their ways. People do reform their ways, which is a positive thing. Other than the other way around. But you know, this guy wasn't fucking Woody Guthrie, though. I'll say that. I mean, he's not just singing songs. He's trying to wield power in a political position. And which in an authoritarian, basically, dictatorship of what Russia is, I mean, he's one of many, many, many who have been, you know, he was put up on the pedestal. But he's just one of many that have been imprisoned, murdered, what have you.
Well, I definitely disagree with killing political dissidents. But like we went back to this thing talking about, well, you can't organize society without oppressing somebody. And that doesn't matter if it's leftist or rightist or conservative or fascist or communist governments. As soon as you start organizing society, some political dissidents are going to get executed. That's just the way history is run. Doesn't make it right or doesn't mean that we couldn't have a society
doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Again.
No. But there seems to be a common thread with almost like some unfortunate byproduct that has to come along with it. But no, I mean, killing the dissidents, not good either. I mean,
because I mean, you can go down the list of the people that have been imprisoned just since the Ukraine war started. The people that have accidentally fallen out of windows and, you know, these things that, oh yeah, they just like 3 of them happened to fall out of a window all at once.
Yeah.
Oh, and they
shot
just
himself in the back of the head twice.
Yeah. And they just happen to be the president of the Russian bank or whatever, you know, like it's so obvious that they've been executed and murdered by the state. That it's why even pretend anymore is the thing.
Well, because then nobody really knows. I mean, you can do something in broad daylight, but nobody's going to be really sure that they saw it with their own eyes.
It's not.
If somebody just denies it, say somebody walks up, you blow their brains out, and then somebody goes, "Did you just blow his brains out?" And you go, "No, I didn't.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it. He's fine. I think it's okay. Nothing's happening. Go back to sleep."
Yeah.
No, I think, I mean, what the fuck? Of course it's going to happen. But this particular guy, I think, is suspicious. That's all I think deep in my heart. I think this guy's sort of suspicious. And at the base of that is the fact that the United States does this kind of shit. When they put in Vladimir Zelensky in the spot that he's in, it was because of a coup that was orchestrated by the CIA in 2014 that threw out
Were you talking about the Orange Revolution? Is that the one? Or no, that was
in 2014. In 2014, in Ukraine, Yanukovych was in power, and the CIA came in and did a little regime change, like they always do, and essentially put this guy who was an actor before that in power. And so there's already, look, there's a clear, profound, long history of the CIA overthrowing governments by going in and having influence and, funneling money through political parties. And they did this again in Georgia in 2008. Okay, so the CIA came to Georgia and bankrolled. And I'm not talking about Georgia like Georgia peaches or Georgia.
We're talking about the Georgian Civil War.
We're talking about Georgia in the over there, bordering Russia with Azerbaijan, all these fantastic
Armenia, which is home to the two breakaway, only recognized by about 5 members of the UN. You got South Ossetia and Abkhazia.
Really, I didn't know about the.
Oh well, this is so two. I mean, Russia went in. See, there's been back and forth, and there's just atrocity on both sides. The 1992 coup d'etat in Georgia, and then you've got South Ossetia war in 2008, when Georgia was trying to join NATO. You've got ethnic cleansing happening against native Georgians. I mean, 250,000 displaced in multiple different events, thousands and thousands killed. It's not pretty.
Yeah. But yeah, and then in Georgia too, they put a lot of money, the CIA did, into having a political campaign. They backed a political person. I think he got pretty far, or whatever. Then they're doing military drills on the border. There's shit's going on. I mean, there's a lot of provocateurs and people putting their fingers in the pot, as it were. And this guy, Navalny, could have been totally poised to do this. So now I interviewed John Kiriakou. He was a CIA whistleblower. He blew the whistle on the torture program. He came on the show a while back and talked with me. And he told me how they got him into the CIA. And it was he was recruited from a school. And so his professor was moonlighting as a professor and a CIA operative, recruiting people at school. He said, I want to see you after class. After the class, he says, you ever thought about doing some espionage or whatever? He says, you speak Arabic or whatever. You speak you speak Greek, you speak all these languages. Do you want to join the CIA? And he did. And so this Alexei Navalny guy, he's not just some British national, right? He's went to school at Yale. He came to the United States and went to an Ivy League university. And if you think that the CIA wouldn't be interested in some... keep in mind, he was incredibly wealthy by the time that he made it to America. He didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Right. He's had millions to invest in all kinds of different projects. He came to America to go to school, goes to Yale. Now, the intelligence community in the United States is going to care about if somebody, a high-profile Russian nationalist, comes to one of their Ivy League universities. What do you really think is going to happen? He was approached, if not questioned, if not recruited by some kind of intelligence organization in the United States. And, there's also, from what I understand, he took money from Western groups for the cause, And that's something you need money to make a political. But where you get that money is important. Like I said before, the Dalai Lama took money from. Politicians take money from a lot of different people. And it makes them biased, right? And when they take money from certain sources, it makes them biased towards the person that gives the money is doing it as a form of effective altruism. They're giving in order to get something back and at the same time do what they think is right in the world. And the person who's taking the money, they're beholden to the wishes of the donor. If somebody gives me $1,000 and says, I want you to lick a dog turd, I'll fucking do it. I'm not. But sure, I've got loyalty.
if it comes down to it, Navalny's taking this money, say he even is a puppet.
Yeah.
Why would he willingly go back to Russia to be imprisoned for life if he didn't actually believe in what your cause, whether you've taken money for it in very shady ways or not? It's
a fair point. But, people like Nelson Mandela went to jail, and Hitler also went to jail for years before they have eventually emerged and became leader of that country.
But also Russia functions a bit differently to where people just don't come out, Yeah.
He fits the profile of every other person who is seeking political power in an opportunistic way.
But so say you've got Navalny, but you also have, all right, we'll just throw out some Ilya Yashin arrested in 2022. You've got Vladimir Kara-Murza jailed in 2023 for 25 years for treason. And these are just people that are saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't bomb Ukraine to bits, maybe we should just focus on our country.
I mean, there's always actual real grassroots leftist, good, empathetic human beings that are in some of these groups, and the things that they want are legitimate. When some people say anti-war, they really mean it. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
And the Russian state is executing and jailing people for taking a political position. There's no doubt about it.
You don't find it bizarre at all that Western countries are going cock-a-hoop over this Navalny guy and they want to erect statues to this guy, but at the same time they're about to extradite Julian
because he's against Putin. He's the
let me finish my thought. That they're parading this guy around because, yes, he's opposition to Putin, and that's all fine and good, but that's another fucking country somewhere else. When we're about to extradite Julian Assange and possibly give him the death penalty for espionage or for revealing state secrets, that is huge. That's our dirty work. Well, I'm not. Yeah. We're arguing about whether or not it's good or bad.
I'm saying they're both shitty. I'm saying that our government does the shitty things and the Russian government does the shitty things.
And I'm saying that even the people who are fighting, like Julian Assange, isn't even necessarily a good character. I mean, I think he's a better character than Navalny because he never said a bunch of racist, fucked up shit.
Sure.
And he wasn't rich either. If you want to compare Julian Assange to Navalny, there's huge differences there. And I think Julian Assange should be totally appreciated more. There's a possibility his face could be on a coin in the future because this is it's a pretty important person, right? That did something very good that turned a lot of people on. This Navalny guy, he had collected 97 million rubles, 2.9 million from individual supporters. He was starting a political machine and taking donations and stuff. Tell me some of the good things that he did, because I know that he was for gay rights and stuff like this, but a lot of this is sometimes just lip service.
I don't know enough about him to even really tell you enough about him. I know that he was in support of BLM in the U.S., but what does that mean? He's not here. That's just
lip service.
Sure, yeah. Give me, that wins you points with a certain side.
See, and that's the thing, is he's aligning himself with all of his statements to the United States. Because I don't
know I know nothing about him, really, so I couldn't tell you if he actually believed it or if he was just using to, win points on.
And then the fact is, we might never know. I mean, we're lucky we know some of the stuff we do know about MK Ultra, or some of the things that are secret, classified information that somehow we were able to find out after, some of the stuff we found out on accident. So maybe one day we'll figure out what this guy if he was a spy or not. But my guess is, even if not, you'll never know. And anti-corruption, like he started the Anti-Corruption Foundation.
That was like that was how he started, really, right?
And yeah, and this is, well, it sounds good, anti-corruption, but at the same thing, this could be a dog whistle for anything. It's just a way to pry someone out of power by just saying they're corrupt. All governments are corrupt. You could say that at any time about any government and be correct.
I do. I mean, because I'm not a follower of Navalny. I don't know enough about him.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not a Putin follower. So
I don't follow any of them. I'm looking objectively at them, and most of them I can walk away and
I can't objectively say Putin is a fucking piece of shit.
Tell me why. Because I've heard things, but tell me why.
Obviously, he's led. And I know that you're going to tell me that it's not, that he was, either way, he invaded Ukraine, and that's just led to a fucking deaths of many, many innocent people on both sides.
Sure.
Putin has executed and imprisoned so many of his political enemies. That right there makes him a piece of shit. Right there.
True. Oh, absolutely.
That he's a rich piece of shit oligarch who doesn't give a fuck about anyone. That's almost beyond the point.
I mean, there's no way that I can allay anybody's fears when I start saying Navalny's a piece of shit, when they should really need me to say Putin is just as bad or worse. I'm like, yes, of course. I don't know why I have to say that. Why can't I just, because everybody wants to do with their team. Well, you're talking about the guy that's on the team of the people that I like other than the people. It's like everybody can be on trial. Everybody can be criticized.
Sure.
I have nothing in common with any humans in this way, where I think there are alphas and there are betas. There's people that lead and there's people that follow. I'm like neither. I don't want to be dominated, nor do I want to dominate. I want to be left alone, and I want to analyze and find the shit about everything and everyone.
The truth, right?
Yeah, I want to know the truth. I want to know the bad things. I don't want to be propped up on the Disneyland lies about how great this person is, or this thing is, or you got to go to do yoga, or you got to go to Burning Man, or what. People come with their religious fervor about stuff that it doesn't tickle me. I don't care. I know that behind it is some kind of lie. You're trying to sell me something, tell me something. And in this case, but it was so funny to watch liberals go melt down and say, so you're just like a Russian troll spreading propaganda, huh? How much is Putin paying you to do this? It's like, this is how brain dead all sides are politically. Like liberal leftists are stupid too. Like they're stupid. And conservative people are stupid too.
I mean, I'm fucking stupid. If anyone thinks that I'm here as some sort of expert, I'm not.
Yeah, admitting you're stupid is the first step in becoming unstupid.
We were talking about Forrest Gump earlier. Stupid dude. No, I'm not even going to finish it. Not even, that's it. That's it. I'm done.
My mama said police are like a box of chocolates.
Box of potato chips.
They'll kill your dog.
That's exactly what my mama said.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's cut it. Look, we'll talk more about Russia next week. We'll talk about my best buddy, Putin, who I think is one of the greatest leaders to ever walk the face of the earth and will lead Russia to an ultimate victory over the entire Earth's surface.
And then we can talk about Chechnya and Kazakhstan and Belarus and Moldova and all the other fun former Soviet states. Yeah, Chechnya is still part of Russia, but...
Yeah, we didn't get to it today, but we will get to it next time. But any topics for next week? What do you think?
Oof. Let me just decompress on this one first.
Let me just decompose a bit.
Yeah, let me just decompose myself.
You know what? The news will present itself to us, I'm sure.
Exactly. All
right. Well, let's sign off to everybody at TV Land. We'll talk after. Everybody be sure to hit subscribe and like, and be sure to, lock your, puckered lips around tight sphincter and give me a good kiss on the behind by hitting that subscribe button and being a part of our mailing list and a part of our Wine of the Month club. And don't forget
Stamp collection.
Our stamp collection is going to be out soon. We're going to have NFTs and sneakers with lights in them, and you can